And there we go. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the FamilySearch Wiki for German research. So how many of you have used the FamilySearch Wiki to help you in your research? Okay.
From time to time.
Yeah, so realize that you don't actually find records in the wiki. What it does is provide you assistance in figuring out where you're going to go.
Right.
So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to live demo it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop in because I probably won't see it if you raise your hand or anything like that. But of course, when you log in, the first thing you're going to go into is search up at the top menu bar. And under that, you're going to go into the research wiki for FamilySearch's wiki. And this is going to get you to the wiki. You know, you can search for anything you want to in the wiki. And I'm going to have to move this over to that side. Now you'll see they've added this new component over here in the entry page, Jumpstart Your Research. The guided research will help you find best databases for your select locations. And when you click on that guided research, you can see that there are some areas that already have developed up guides. Okay. And you can see that these are the guided research experiences available. And if you look, Germany is not currently one of those. But we're going to click on Denmark just to show you an example of what that does. And when you get into the guided research, you can see that it's broken down into the types of records that people most frequently look at. And if we click on birth, it's now going to say, you know, what am I looking for? Additional online resources, substitute records, improving searching, or why the records may not exist. And you can click on those and then it'll start to bring you into those record types. And so I'm going to go to substitute records. And you can see it gives you some ideas of where else you might be able to find information on births. So they're working on these. This has been something they've been doing for only a couple months now. It was, I want to say it was announced at Roots Tech last year, but I don't think it was. I think it was just introduced to a few of us in a focus group at Roots Tech, so that we could give them some advice on what to put into here. Now, the interesting thing is, what was I going to look at? We'll click on this for a second up here in talk. And this is where you can add in information, you know, so they have not yet been developed on this one. So there's some areas in here that aren't fully developed yet. What is guided research? And this tells you how they go through the guided research. Of course, this tells you what's being developed and what's coming up. And I am really surprised Germany is not on this list of things that are coming up. So, well, we'll have to get to that later. We're gonna go back to the online map again.
Could part of the problem in that might be delaying Germany is it's so fragmented with the different provinces?
It might be a little more difficult, yeah, to pull in all of that information together. So I hadn't gone into this recently to see how they were doing, but I was really hoping that they were going to have this up and running, but not yet. Again, it's brand new.
On Wales?
Well, they had the UK, so they might have had it broken down.
Okay.
You can go in and look at it you could search specific topics. You can look at it by list of localities, or you can click on the map. And I'm just going to go by map and go into, notice that they have a section on the German Empire and on Germany. Okay. If I click on the German Empire, we get this big pop-up. So now you can go back and look at specific areas historically from the German Empire. I'm going to close that one and we're going to go down and just click on Germany. And now you see the current states in Germany. Okay. So what I want to do, since most of us are going back to that era of the German Empire, we're going to go back and look at some of these areas to see what we might be able to find. And, you know, I'm just going to go to Baden. It's a nice little area. A lot of people have relatives coming from there. Now, you'll notice on the left-hand side, there's research information over here. Okay. So you can volunteer to submit wiki content if you're interested. If you want to add in information that's available here, you can do that or submit information. You can edit the wiki. So you can become an editor. So up here, you know, it says read, edit source, and view history. I can go in and click edit. Now I'm a wiki editor. I've been approved. You can request approval. And now I can go in and I can change this information that's in here or add more information to these. I do it quite often for some of the counties in Ohio that I'm working with. Like if I find a new resource, a newspaper or something like that, I'll go in and become an editor in the wiki and add links to those resources. So you can do that. You can become an editor in here. You see up here also there's talk sandbox, preferences, watch lists, and contributions. The sandbox is a virtual page. Of course, I don't currently have a sandbox in here, but you can set up one that's a virtual page that you can take your notes and put things together as you're thinking about them that you'll bring into the documents later. So when we look at these pages, they all have the same general format. They're all going to start out with basic information about the location and historical information. So historical background. And in this case, it's going back to the 12th century, talking about where it was, how smaller territories were joined up and became larger territories. You know, it became the Grand Duchy of Baden in 1806. In 1815, it joined the German Confederation. And this is going to give you some help on, you know, did this area become part of another location? You know, why I'm not able to find Baden records at a certain point in time. You know, now it's in after World War II, the state of Baden was formed, and then the northern half was combined with northern Württemberg and became the state of Württemberg-Baden within the American military districts, and then became Württemberg-Baden became a state in West Germany in 1949, and then became Baden-Württemberg in 1952. But some of these little areas that you might go in and want to research, you know, they were small little city-states at one point in time. They were independent duchies that got incorporated back into something a lot larger. And without knowing that historical background, you might be looking in the wrong locations for your information. They provide these nice how-to guides. I'm going to open that how-to guide up in another page here. And this is going through and talking about, you know, Germany how-to guides. And this is going through and giving you available guides for different areas. I'm not seeing one for Baden, but you can see one here for Alsace-Lorraine. And let's take a look at the activity associated with that. So now you get these nice activity guides on doing your research, you know, translating surnames, translating given names, what's the French equivalence. Because of course in Alsace-Lorraine, you had the French, then the German, some of them were in Latin. So you need to know that information when you're going through this. So I'm going to go back.
On that list right there, I saw something that people ought to know about. It says family books in Württemberg.
Yes,
a
right here.
number of towns, family books have been published where the author has essentially perused the church records and put them in a bound organized alphabetically and put them in a bound form. So if you happen to be lucky and get I've seen one family book that has a few of my relatives in it, but they're an amazing resource.
Where do you
Yeah.
find them?
I was on the page Miles was at just a moment ago in the research wiki. It said family books in Württemberg.
Okay.
So I've clicked on it before and it gives you a list of the towns for which books are published.
Yeah, so I've just opened up those tabs. And so you see here, there's this German Research Family Books in Württemberg how-to guide.
Oh, there you go.
And so it gives you an introduction. You know, family books are, let's see, talks about where some resources might be. Let's see.
I was assuming there was a list of
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what I'm
towns.
looking for. They give some examples of some screens off of the microfilm. And a practice exercise. So this is telling you what to do here. In the Family Search catalog, you go to search the catalog, and then you can go in and you can type in the different localities in Germany to see if there's been a family book that's been developed for those localities. And in the catalog, you'll be able to actually either see the microfilm version, digitized microfilm version of the family book if it was done that way, or if it was done more recently, you'll see the digitized version of the book in the catalog. So here is an example of a family register on microfilm number 1044275. And I'm going to go in and do a search catalog for this, and I'm going to go by film number, and I'm going to click on that film number and put online. So we'll see an example of one of those. And you see here, available online, click here. So you can see that all of these have been digitized, but these are restricted. You have to see these in a family history affiliate or a family history center. You may be able to see them downtown, you know, at the family history, at the library, but you can search them this way. And let's just see if they're going to allow me to look in this collection. Yeah, so I'm only going to be able to put in names. I'm just going to put in a name here and see if anything pops up. And in case, because of these being restricted documents, all I can get is the indexed information. But which is, you know, it's helpful. I get the father's name, the child's name, and then the event, the burial event, and so on, death dates. So it's going to go through the record and see if there's a document available for you to search through in that family book. We talked about family books last year when we looked at the German Genealogy website, the CompGen website, and they have a section on Familienbuchens there that you can actually go through and search by your town. Also in there, they give you these activities for the family books. And so it starts out, says, where is the Catholic parish for the town of Limnau located? And there's an answer key. So you can actually go through and you know, test yourself. See if you can find this information as you're going through it and see if, you know, to familiarize yourself with what's in this set of records. So again, I got that out of the, we just went down here to the family books in Württemberg, and I did this activity to get these little questionnaires to help you, you know, learn how to use the course.
If I may add a clarifying comment, what looks like where you're at there are family books published in, say, the recent 40, 50, 60 years. If you look at on the Family Search catalog for individual German towns under church records, many church pastors created family books as a part of the volumes of church registers that are available under specific surnames. You familiar with that, Miles?
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify, there's family books that were created 200-300 years ago, and there's more recent published family books for the whole town.
Right. Yeah. So the whole town records, you'll see, and some of the times you'll see these in even with matricula. You can actually find some of these in there. They'll be in with the church records also, but what they'll do is each page will have like a family and all of the children and all the dates. Marge showed a couple of these types of pages before also, where you see the family information and materials associated with those families, like when they immigrated, on those family book records. Yeah, if you happen to find some of those pages, those are really helpful. In my case, I haven't found any of those pages that are extensive. So.
The downside I've run into is the modern family books are printed in modern text, albeit in German.
Mm-hmm.
The 17th and 18th century family books within the church registers are written in script German.
Yes.
Oh, how about those before that? How
I've,
far back do they go?
well, in the town I'm researching, I run into only for the 17th century, not earlier.
Oh, mine were already here by then.
Let's see.
Okay, when did they start doing the family books?
Well, it's different for different
Yep.
churches. So
Yeah,
what
but
you
those
would,
really old towns, like mine were there 1400s before that, forever.
so what I would do is I would look in the FamilySearch catalog for the town of interest and then look under church records. And it would tell you if there's family books for that church.
So I wouldn't just look under Wittenberg, I would look under all of the small towns that they lived in.
Correct. That's the downside, is you have to know the town.
Yeah.
Well, I know
So
5 or 6 of them, so.
Okay.
if you look here, this is genealogy.net. This is the German genealogy webpage. And this is the family book database that they maintain. And if you go in, you can zoom in on the maps, to a specific location. And so here you can see for the town of Hof, there's a little symbol here. And if I click on that, I'll be able to see, the record that's available here, and who's done it. And these are online family trees, basically.
That's on Genealogy.net?
Genealogy.net. You can also click on the specific town listed in here and you get a little bit of information about it. But then you can have the complete list of family names, birthplaces and things. And I'm just going to select A. You can see these are the names that are under here. And if we look at Ackerman, it lists the people and it does something like this. So you see the individual with the parents or the children's names listed.
Oh,
And you can run through that. So that's on the Orts Family Book page of it. The OFB is the name of the database that they're using. So just to let you know, those are out there. So if you're not able to find one on FamilySearch, you might be able to find one for your town on the genealogy.net website. So, yeah. So another thing, and like I said, I just picked Baden here because so I don't know if everything is working here. But you have this Ask the Community piece that's been added in also. And this Ask the Community piece, you can go in and find Germany. There we go. And FamilySearch now has these communities. So there's a German genealogy research community. There's also a Facebook group, Central European Genealogy and Research Community. And then there are some other miscellaneous pages that are available. And if I click on this German Genealogy Research Group community, I go into FamilySearch communities, and there's a lot of these communities out there. And these are basically the discussion boards for FamilySearch. So if you remember, a lot of the old genealogy pages had those discussion boards like Roots Web and so on, where you could ask a question and get people to respond. Back in the old days before social media. But when you go into these, now you see people are posting questions. Some of these people are asking for a translation, possibly. Where can I get some, information, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different discussions that are going on here, and you can see a lot of the different links to other topics that they talk about within this group.
Oh, look at that.
So you can see here in my group, I've got British Isles and engaging youth and England and connecting and inspire, Family Bibles Project. This is a good project if anybody's interested. The Family Bibles Project. Somebody's been out collecting all of these images of family Bibles from all over the place. And so we're working on linking those pages up to people in FamilySearch and building the trees off of those Bibles. So eventually somebody will be related to those people, and they'll be able to see their Bible pages posted, linked to their people.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of different topics that are out there for people to get involved with. If you're interested in doing that in the communities portion. So, and you can see, there's a lot of different countries that have those communities already involved in it, and it makes it easier for you to go back and talk to people about them. You also see the Baden online genealogy records and the German genealogy records online. Now, what this does is it helps you sort out where you want to go. So it divides up the topics and what records are available. So here you're looking at church records and vital records, and it lists some of those that are available. Now you notice some of these have $signs on them, because when you click on them, these are going to go to Ancestry, or these are going to go to MyHeritage. Others will go right to FamilySearch. So you'll need to look at these. This one here, the Southern Baden, Freiburg and Karlsruhe, those go directly to the Baden-Württemberg archives records. I do a lot of research in the Karlsruhe archives records there, because that's where my wife's family's from. So you get this nice list of records that are available. So as I said, some are pay and some are free. You have biographies, you have immigration and emigration records that are available, maps and gazetteers, town genealogies, and so here you see the Orts family books for Baden-Württemberg, and this is going to send you right back to that page we were just on. Okay. So a good way of doing your research, just by figuring out what research topics you're looking for. There is a stepwise research process that they have also, and I haven't actually seen it in work yet. I've seen it in beta, where it'll ask you a set of questions. So the first thing when you click on it, it'll ask you, what are you looking for? Are you looking for birth, marriage, death records, or something else? And if you click on the birth records, then it says, okay, in what location are you looking for? And then so it eventually leads you to 2 or 3 sources that are the best sources for you to do your research in. And again, I haven't seen it in use yet, but I did play around with it when we were testing it a couple months ago. So that'll probably come out sometime in the near future. They'd like to schedule their releases around RootsTech. So it might be February when they release some of this new stuff. Of course, you get your maps that you can go in and search the map, click on the maps to see larger images for more information about the location you're searching. Um, so then you come down a little further and you have these different topics, you know, finding names in your ancestors' hometown in family history records, using gazetteers and parish registers, birth, marriage, and death. And then these go into more detailed pages that you can open up and research. So this one here is specifically Baden German Empire civil registrations. And now you can get a lot more information specifically on those types of records and where you might be able to go to get that information. So, you know, I've mentioned it before. If you use things like the German genealogy page or Wikipedia or even Google to do your research, you want to go specifically to the German versions of those web pages to do your research. So if you're using Google Germany, you want to go to google.de. As opposed to Google English. Oh, mine's translating into English already. Let's see. I'm just going to do it. And yeah, it's not, I have to get in there. Mine automatically sends me back to English right now. So I have to fix that before I go out there. But you can see there's German Wikipedia here. And so this is the German Wikipedia, but it's written by people in Germany. So it's going to have more specific information to some of those locations that you're searching in Germany, as opposed to the English version. Because, you know, who's going to spend time writing a history about a small German community in English? When, you know, the German people that are there can write that German history and do it in German on the German side of the Wikipedia page. Of course, I've got mine, you know, always translates my German pages into English. And that's the Google Chrome tool that I have added in there.
In a similar vein, if you are looking at the website for the town you're interested in my case, Schwäbisch Hall, they have an English website and a Deutsch website.
Yeah.
The German website is much richer, has more pages. So just be aware, you have to plow through German, but there may be valuable information you're missing in the English only website.
Right, or you do the English translation from Google Translate while you're on the German page. And I always recommend using the native language page, because you're definitely going to get more information on that than you will the English version of the page, because, you know, they just don't have a whole lot of time to spend writing all the detail in English. There's always interesting things in here about privacy laws. And so this is going to, you know, help you figure out, well, why can't I find that birth certificate from 90 years ago? You know, well, here, birth records have to be at least 110 years old. Marriages have to be at least 80 years old, and deaths have to be at least 30 years old. So this is why you can't find, you know, somebody born in 1930 in the German records. So be aware of that, because that's going to help you, and it's going to give you this information in most of the country's pages or locality pages. They also, since FamilySearch has a good partnership with Ancestry and MyHeritage and Find My Past, they are going to link you to the record sets that are available in those databases, so that you can say, you know, if I had an Ancestry account, I could just go in and click on this. Or you can use the library's account, you know, when you're doing Ancestry or something, if you don't have access to it. They also will give you information about how to write your requests. So in this case here, you know, this is writing for civil registration certificates. And in many cases, they're going to give you, you know, how to write a letter here. And in this German letter writing guide that pops up, you know, here's the basic outline of a letter that they would have.
Gosh.
Here's writing instructions. You know, here's what you want to do. You want to send your donation to the church or to the records depository, you know, so that they'll look at your record a little bit quicker for you, maybe. You know, quick links and so on. So this, you know, helps you get this information ready to go when you're sending out, you know, if you're sending out a letter that's requesting the information. And it basically lays out, you know, here are the things. I say, please send me a complete extract of the marriage record. Well, this is how you need to write it. Bitte schicken, schicken, and so on. So it actually translates the standard, you know, the typical language, the requests that you would have into German, so that you can just copy these portions of the request and add them into your letter. So you can see, you know, it talks about referrals and payments and closing remarks and follow-ups. And, you know, here's your example letter, you know, your date, your address, your greeting, your introduction, your request. So here's your letter right there. You just need to fill in the document pieces from all of these pieces that are listed above it to make it fairly quick and easy on you. Okay. So really, really helpful information to gather, you know, to help you write your letters. You know, how to request a baptism, marriage, and death records. Well, if we click on that one, you know, now it's going to go through. First, to find your parish, you know, find the church record, find which parish you're looking for, and look in the inventory of that parish. See if it's already online. One thing to realize that by February, the end of February next year, all of the microfiche will be digitized. All of the microfilm and microfiche products will be digitized and available online. That doesn't mean they'll be searchable by index. You know, you can't type in a person's name and search them because they won't be indexed yet, but you'll be able to find the film and search through it. Now, if you notice, I showed you one of the films. It was not viewable. Okay, it was restricted. You had to go to the Family History Center or to a FamilySearch affiliate library. You may run into a lot of that when these films go out, but it's all depending on the contracts that have been you know, signed between the owner of the documents, the records, and FamilySearch. So you may find restrictions, but all of these will be released, digitized, and available online in some format by the end of February next year.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. And then they tell you, you know, online church records. You can go to Archeon. You can go to the archives for that area. In FamilySearch, here are the records that you're going to find in FamilySearch. In MyHeritage, here's the ones you're going to find, Ancestry, and so on. So again, you know, it always helps to go through and look for these, look in the wiki to see what's there. These are helpful too. You know, the Catholic archives. Here's the addresses and the emails and the phone numbers, the Lutheran archives, the state archives. So you get all the contact information that's available there. Let's see. How to find your Jewish records. Compiled genealogies. So here is the whole section on Ort's family books, the family books. Germantown genealogies and parish register inventories on the internet. Finding your family books. So what else do we have down here? Downloadable handouts. Ah, this is a good one. Uh-oh, it's broken. We'll have to figure out what's broken on that one. But how many people have the German alphabet stored on their desktop so they can just open it up really quickly and read the documents? Yeah, it's right there as a link right on my desktop. You know, when I'm getting into these documents, I can open it up and sit it side by side and see that I can see the different forms that letter took over time. Latin records, feast dates, and so on. So a lot of great information there. But then you also need to go over here to this right-hand side in these boxes that are here, because this sends you to a bunch of other pages that are associated with the German records or the Baden records. So, you know, getting started, finding the town of origin, finding aids for German records, research strategies, record finders. You're going to find all of these other links here for different types of records. So, you know, if you're looking for German newspapers, you can click right on that. And now you go to the wiki page for the German newspapers and where you're going to find them. Notice there's not a whole lot out there, but there's a few things available that might be helpful for you. Let's see. You get cemeteries, censuses, court records, and so on. Then you have your background information, you know, knowing the history, the gazetteers, the language, handwriting, German record types, and German backgrounds. So all of these things are going to help you as you go through your German research. I was looking for the link to the training areas, and I'm not seeing it. Occasionally you'll see a little pop-up window that'll pop up on some of these pages that'll link you to the German lessons that are out there. And maybe I missed it. Maybe it's embedded into some of these. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right now. But of course, you know that in the German training areas, you're going to find a lot, or in the FamilySearch training areas, you're going to find a lot of German records, a lot of German lessons on finding records. And let's see. No, I'm not seeing it right offhand, so I'm not sure where they moved them to. That's the problem with, you know, pages. They change formats occasionally, and you lose your usual where things were. So you can start very narrowly in here. You know, you can go down to the state level, but in some cases you might be able to go down to a parish level. And I think the best way to do that is to go into the wiki again. And let's see. So you look, you see, if I type in Berlin, just because it's a major location, I can go in and, you know, find some things that might be helpful for me. And I'm just going to click on the first one here. So you can see here's some stuff specifically from the German Empire period. It goes from Germany to Prussia to Brandenburg to Berlin. You always have this cookie trail behind you, the breadcrumb, so you can go back out to where you to a little larger defined topic as you go through. So that's helpful also. So I'm gonna move this again. Okay. I've got the bar shows up with everybody's picture on it, and I have to move it out of the way because I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. So German research tools. So you can see there's things in here like German script tutorial, and when we click on it, I'm going to close out some windows. So this is BYU's German script tutorial page, and you can see, and I've demoed this before in previous years. But you can see Gothic handwriting versus Gothic typefaces, Fraktur. And when you go in, you can see the alphabet, the full chart for the alphabet. It lists the different, you know, Fraktur versions of it. I am looking if there is a handwriting. And now you can see the handwriting. But let's see, interactive, there we go. So you can go down here and you can actually test yourself. And your job is to figure out what letter these are. Does anybody want to guess? So the first one?
Like a P.
P.
You think it's a P? Okay. How about the next one?
C, G.
G.
C? Okay. That one should be, that one's an O, I think.
D.
D. Holy
W
cow.
or V?
That's bad.
I want to say it's an M.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That one's probably an L. Now, if we go down here, what is the letter that's underlined?
Oh,
I think this,
Kansas.
yeah, it's a small n.
D-E-N.
This is April, I think, so that would be a P.
H.
There.
H, yeah, that's probably Heinrich, maybe. Ooh, that's a tough one there.
That's an A.
An A, okay. I don't know this one.
I'm going to guess E.
Okay,
C.
that should be C. Okay. And let's see, view answers. We got 6 right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, oh, that's a W. Okay, that's a, well, it's a capital P. We had that one right. Okay, so we got that one right. We missed this. It's not a C.
Ugh.
I don't know what that is. It's X, I
It's
guess.
X.
O, capital D, W, L. That's an R.
R. Oh, dare. D-E-R.
Okay. That one we got right was an H. That's a V. We got that one right. So you can see that it was picky. It wanted a capital P. It wanted a capital D. You know, now we got those right. So we had, actually we had 8 right. We just had the wrong case that I typed in there.
Miles, did you happen to see the email I sent 2 weeks ago telling you if you find a book on Google Books, at least on my Macintosh, the preview software will transcribe from the script German to modern printed German.
What?
So if you copy and paste, I've used that for 100 pages or so to do partial translations of books. I don't know if it works on a PC.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if they have an old version. I'm just going to, whoops. No. I want books and I want settings, tools, settings. There we go. Any, I want free. Okay, so that's in English, but let's see. That doesn't look like it's very good. That might be something we might have to have you show us on
Sure.
one of our meetings coming up.
Be happy to.
Yeah, because I know that I use new OCR. Whoops. Let's see. New OCR, and you can put in your different files. They can be PDF, JPEGs, you know, lots of different files. And you see down here, it has German and German Frachter. So it'll take those two types of text, and you can input in JPEG, PNG, GIF, bitmap, zip files, TIFFs, PDFs, documents, you know, all sorts of stuff, and you can output it to text, doc, or PDF format. You upload, you choose your file, you preview it, and then you translate it, and it, or you OCR it, and then it has a translate button where it'll go and dump it into Google Translate and run you an English translation for it.
The written form.
Yeah.
Wow, I need to do that.
You see all the different languages it works on. So, yeah, I use this quite often. Let's see. So you can see there's a lot of different handouts here that they have available for you to, you know, practice with and get the information to assist your research. So, and of course, you know, that is just looking at German and, you know, looking at a couple examples. But when you look at the specific locations for your research, you know, you're going to find a lot more different types of information depending on where you're looking. So some areas you might not have a bunch, and some areas you might have more information available. So you just have to go through and find it. Like I said, if you want to, you can become a contributor to the FamilySearch Wiki and add information in there to new links and things that you might know about so that other researchers can find those. So, did you guys learn anything?
Yes.
Always.
Just overwhelmed.
There's so many resources out there, and the wiki now has over 92,000 pages. Some of those are location-based pages, and some are topic-based pages. So you can do something like adoption, and it'll give you a list of how to do adoption-based research, or religion-based research. You can put in Jewish, and it'll start to pull up records that are available there, and it's going to link out to dozens of other different pages within the wiki itself, and then externally. And last month, I demonstrated the family history guide and how that works to do a similar thing, but it goes through and actually lays out step by step the process of doing your research for you, or helping you learn how to do your research. And I don't know, did anybody get an opportunity to try the family history guide over the last month? Okay. Any success?
Yeah, I found it useful.
I'm doing a talk on European research, specifically German research again, I think, next month to a group in Utah about it. I gotta promote it because I'm the education director. We are getting a big section from Roots Tech. We are getting a good amount of publicity from Roots Tech coming up here in February. Has everybody signed up for Roots Tech?
Oh, yeah.
It's free. Can't do any better than that. Over 800 talks, I think, going on.
Wow.
160,000 people attending right now virtually from 180 countries, I think.
How many days is it?
3. But they're all available on demand. So 185 countries, 30 languages.
What are the dates?
You'll be able to go in and pull up your topics that you're going to be interested in and see what presentations are given. All the presentations are going to be 20 minutes. There will be some 5-minute presentations and some 3-minute presentations also, which are quick links sort of things. They will specifically talk about a topic and not get into all the depth of it. And then they're also working on community projects. So they're looking for short videos to introduce people to projects that organizations are doing as far as community-based projects that they want help from crowdsourcing opportunities. So if anybody has any of that types of ideas, you can talk to me about it, and I will forward you on to the right people at Roots Tech to see if they're interested in doing something with those projects. So are there any questions? I like to try to keep us at an hour. I want to make sure you guys have opportunities to ask questions. It's definitely one of those things you need to dive into and play around with it. A lot of people just don't even realize the wiki is out there. They go in and, I see this all the time on the FamilySearch users groups. They complain that the records are terrible on FamilySearch. And I'm like, no, the records are the records. It's the person who took the records that did it wrong. It's not the FamilySearch's fault that the record is wrong, But a lot of people just don't know how to use the wiki. And so it's good to introduce people to that.
I think it's overwhelming. There's so much.
Yeah. And that's the, I joke about it. I've told Michelle this before. I said, I cannot use a library. I was not, when I was in school, yeah, we used libraries. But for research purposes, so much of my research is online. And I know there's a lot of stuff that isn't online, but I will never get through everything that's online.
Oh, right.
So
There's
One
more
bit of
coming every
advice.
day anyways.
what's that, Shirley?
I said there's more every day, so you'll never
Yeah.
catch up.
Yeah. David, what were you saying?
One bit of advice for people who are going on digital, say digital marriage records, either FamilySearch or Ancestry or MyHeritage. I've been trying to teach myself script German, and so I went to the LDS library in Palm City and printed out, about 20 pages of marriage records. And it was partly just an exercise for me to see if I could discern the names and then match them to the digital records just as an educational exercise.
Mhm.
In the process, I found a potential shortcoming of the digital marriage records from whoever you get them. If you have a second marriage, so person A marries person B, the husband dies, the wife remarries. In the second marriage, they refer to her current name from her first marriage as if that's her maiden name.
Right.
Mhm.
And it isn't until you look at the handwritten church record. So there's a big activation energy to get to reading the script for the church record. But in there you see hints like it'll say Eva, Frau, or talk about Eva Balthasar Mueller's Wittig, meaning widow. And so then that tells you, oh, okay, Mueller was her previous husband's name, not her maiden name.
Yeah, that's the difference between the indexed information that you see when you just pull up quick and easy and the text, the actual document image that's there, and hopefully you can
Right.
find the actual image that's there. You also, and I've mentioned this before, when you look at the actual images, there may be notes, lots of notes written in them. And so those notes are very important, and you're missing them if all you're doing is looking at the index. And it's easy to miss that sort of information. I was just in the other day doing research, and the marriage record had the age of the individuals. It had their birth dates in the record,
Wow.
and it had in the margins, it had the death date of one of the individuals. And that allowed me just to go right back to, okay, now I can go find the funeral record because I have the dates. I can go back and find the birth record because now I have the dates for that. Now I have their parents because the parents are listed in that record, in the birth record, or baptism record, I should say. So yeah, you want to, if you find a indexed record that's available, you do want to try to find the actual record, especially in the German church records, definitely.
Miles, I had a question,
Yep.
and it's, I'm at a much different area of my research than you folks are already very deep into Germany. I'm still trying to find out when my relatives came and how they
Yeah.
came. And I'm at a point where I know they were here before the mid 1700s, but I have no real good way yet of finding any record that allows me to know where they came from in Germany. What do you suggest is it church records the best thing for something like that, or is it looking at the friends, associates, and neighbors and tracking those folks? What do you recommend to people who are in that situation?
So what you may find is that a community migrated together.
Mhm.
4 or 5 or 6 families from a community in Germany may migrate to the same community in Ohio or Pennsylvania or wherever they're heading to. So you may find, if you can find any records of those individuals, that might help you locate where you need to start your research.
Okay, because the
What
earliest record I have is that they were in a Lutheran church in Frederick, Maryland. But
So that's the other thing. The Lutheran church records have a good potential to list where they were from.
okay,
I've done it with my Catholic church records in Ohio, except for everything was wrong in the Catholic church. they were really nice. I mean, she goes, oh yeah, we have that person and we have his wife and we have all their children and these are all the dates. And I looked and I said, those are not the same children that are listed in the census. They're not the same children that are listed in the birth record. And those are not the same dates that are listed in his immigration. So there's some reason that everything's wrong. You know, and they're not the same ones as on the headstone either. So I don't know what she gave me.
So for example, in that recommendation that you made, perhaps given that I have a baptism record of one of their children and has witnesses,
Yep.
then looking at those witnesses and trying to look at, you know, were they part of a larger community at that time, and
Right.
actually using them to see if maybe I might have their, even though I may not find a boat with my ancestors' names on, maybe I could find this person with their name on some, you know, where they came through, and hopefully then where they came from.
Yeah, and you know, a couple months ago we did the mapping surnames thing.
Right, I did that. Yes, yep, okay.
And so, you know, it's going to give you a wide dispersal on a lot of names because people have moved around in the last 200 or 300 years. But looking at where those surnames are centered,
Mhm.
and then going to the Myers Gazetteer and looking what were the towns, you know, so look up that town in the Myers Gazetteer, and then
Okay.
go to the ecclesiastical section of it and see where were in your case, the Lutheran Church would be the evangelic church.
Mhm.
It'd be the Protestant church. So you
Okay.
would look to see where were the Protestant churches in that period of time.
Okay.
Protestant church records would be on Archeon, or potentially on FamilySearch or one of the other major databases, or in the state's archives for that area.
Okay.
But now you've got that list, and from your research in the town in Pennsylvania, you have a list of other surnames that are frequently found in association with your family. Start looking through those church records and see if those surnames start showing up.
Okay.
And if they do, you might be able to link some of those surnames to some of the
Right.
people that you're finding. And
You
that
know what?
might help you.
Great, that's a good suggestion, because I just signed up for that world membership that I won in your contest,
Okay.
and so now I want to use it, and you know, now maybe I can give that a try to
Yeah.
look at the witnesses and see if I can find something on them in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, have you heard of the book Strasburger and Hinke? It's a book of males over the age of 16 who immigrated into Philadelphia, say before 1760.
Yes, I did. That's the one that's got like 30,000
Right.
immigrants from Philadelphia. Yep, and I did find names in there that relate in the 1730 or so, but you know, it doesn't tell a lot where they came from.
Right. Yeah, when I've tried it, I've assumed that many people on the same boat were from the same town. And then I tried to pick unusual surnames and then go to, say, Ancestry.com, Württemberg records, birth, and see if I could find a birth for a person with that unusual name.
Okay.
That hasn't worked out in my search, but that was my strategy.
Well, I'll give it a try, and maybe it'll work for me. Maybe I'll get lucky.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
I always mention my Westerheide because that's always the easy one to find. And I ended up locating a town called Borglo in Germany. And as I started going through that, there was Westerheide after Westerheide after Westerheide. And the good thing about it was all of the documents were indexed, not indexed in far as searchable, but they all had indexes at the back of all the documents. And so I could pull up, and it told me which pages I needed to search in those documents to find the Westerheide families. So I was able to go back through, and I think I found 175 records for the Westerheide family in those church books. And now my task was then to link, you know, those funeral records and the marriage records and the birth records with the same people together to build their little shrubs, because it's not a tree yet. You know, it's a lot of little shrubs.
That's good.
Do you normally try to do like a descendancy thing from German records as well then when you have
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah, I try to build out the trees and with the records that I can find and try to link the records together to track a family and see if there's anything that connects up.
So in other words, like that example that you just gave, I could take my surname, of which, when you did that mapping thing, you showed us on the first lesson,
Mhm.
it put it down in the far southern corner of Germany, and had 5 spelling variations. I could potentially go in and look on World Ancestry, come up with probably a bunch of records, but then try to do descendancy on those names, right?
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, trying to go like opposite. If I can't find it to go, coming from,
Yep.
maybe I can go over there and look for somebody who came here.
That's what my wife is doing with her DNA matches, because she's found people that have common ancestors, but they don't link to her person. And so she takes that common ancestor and then starts doing a descendancy work on that until she figures out which line probably links into hers. And she's like within a generation now, she thinks of her records, but she can't figure out which son that one links up to.
Now, Mike, there's 1 or 2 books in your Indian River library that I made a note to look at sometime, and I'm trying to remember the German. I can't remember his surname, but it starts with an H. So there's a gentleman who went to church records in the part of Germany you're describing and scoured the records looking for. So unlike America, people just didn't pick up and leave Germany. They created records to get permission to leave Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And it, for instance, made sure that they didn't owe money and just dodged the local people they owed money to. And so this gentleman searched those kinds of records during the 1700s and has written a number of books, like 24, about people who left these different small churches. And if Miles has any special contacts in Salt Lake City, there is a data CD that I found from the Palatinate region that is a compilation of this gentleman's 20 or 30 books. And the index worked, but the link and this data CD, the link between the index and the source within the book is broken. So I could find surnames I was interested in, but I couldn't get back within the book to the original records. And the person at the Family History Library who I asked couldn't figure out what the problem was. So there's a resource in Salt Lake City that I don't know how to use, but it might be tremendously valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check my records and find out the name of the book, and I'll send you an email.
Yeah. Oh, and David, thanks, because your presentation that you gave on Virginia was very helpful to me, because that's where these folks ended up, in Virginia.
Oh, okay. Well, you're welcome.
Yep. So I enjoyed that. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's online, right? If anybody else has any
It is.
any relatives coming through early Virginia, you have your presentation on the Martin County website, I believe, right?
Correct. And I told our webmaster, just leave it there. I don't need to keep it private.
Great. Thank you very much. So if anybody else, if you want me to, anyone can go just to Martin County and genealogy site and look it up. And David gave a good pitch with lots of resources for the Germans coming through Virginia.
My lucky thing was, my Germans didn't immigrate until the 1850s and 60s, a little, maybe 1830s if they were earlier. But once you start looking at the 1800s, the records are pretty easily accessed. Even the 1700s, the records in Germany are pretty easy to access once you're in a location. And that's the biggest problem, is finding that specific location to hunt down.
Well, we've got another branch that's related, that we're trying to prove that they're related through DNA, but they were Palatines that came into upstate New York, or to New York, and we're in that region. I think it was when they brought them to London and then brought them over, and we're still trying to do Y-DNA tests to see if we can match to any of them, because that may give us a lead.
Yeah. Mike, do you have your DNA on MyHeritage, or is it just on Ancestry?
I have it on
Okay.
23andMe, MyHeritage, Ancestry, GEDmatch, and yeah, it's
Okay.
out there.
Because I just want to suggest, let people know that if you did have data on Ancestry, you can download that data and upload it to other websites. MyHeritage would accept it.
Family Tree DNA will accept
Family
it.
Tree DNA will accept it. Living DNA is accepting it now. Of course, GEDmatch accepts everybody's DNA on theirs. And the benefit of putting it on MyHeritage is that they have a higher number of German DNA matches. Ancestry does not have many German people living in Germany are not using Ancestry. They're using MyHeritage for their DNAs.
Okay, good.
I
Thanks.
think Ancestry has 12% of the market, and MyHeritage has like 80% of the market in Germany.
Interesting. Good to know.
Okay, any other questions or comments today?
Very good.
Got a lot to look at. Thank you.
Just remember, next month on the 14th, Thursday, is the voyage. And so tracks, go through some of your records, see if you can find some interesting immigration records. Look at what ship they came over on. See if you can find a little history about the ship or any characteristics about the ship. What port did they come out of? Was it Bremen, Le Havre, or someplace else? So come up with some ideas, some topics that we can discuss. I might get into a couple records databases that are available out there, mainly like the ship's list or some of those areas where you might find records for your voyages. There may, I was lucky enough, one of my family groups came over on the William Tapscott, which was the name of the vessel, and I was able to find somebody's diary that was on the vessel, not necessarily the same voyage, but it was a young girl's diary, and she wrote all about the trip and all of the things associated with it.
Oh, lovely.
So, look at some of this background information that might give you an idea of why they left, what the conditions were like, and how they got to the U.S. and what they did once they got here. And we'll have a discussion about that next month. Okay.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank
Well, it
you
was good
so
talking
much.
to you all. I hope you all have a good holiday.
You
You
too.
as well.
Thank you, Miles.
We'll see you all next month.